led by its member. Then we will have the closing session here of ISMIR, and then Cynthia will present Paris to Delft. We will also have, during one of those, a short introduction or reminder of the Meetup with Industry, which is part of ISMIR. It's not something just for industry. The Meetup with Industry is what replaced what used to be the industry panel. So this is a whole afternoon. It's really nice. I think there will be, I've heard the head of Apple Europe there, so it will be really important. So we will start with the nomination of the awards. So the best paper and the best student paper were will be given by Emilia, which is part of the 4 PC Share program committee chair that did all the programming of the scientific track of this year.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite Xiao Hu, Eric Humphrey, and to join this. As we were PC chairs this year together with Emmanuel Benetos, who unfortunately had to leave before the session. And then we would like to at least give these awards that were mostly based on the ratings of the reviewers and the PC members, and also some considerations from the PC chairs. I think there is anything. So we will start by the best paper. So the best paper award goes to the paper titled Learning to Listen, Read and Follow, Score Following as a Reinforcement Learning Game by Matthias Dorfer, Florian Henkan, and Gerhard Widmer. And this goes with a small present from. Oh, yeah. And this award is also enriched with a present from our sponsor, Native Instruments.
Yes. It's a petit cadeau from
Yes.
Native Instruments.
So maybe, Xiao, you would like to give the best student paper award? Sure.
Okay, so drums and applause, and the best student paper goes to the paper titled End-to-End Learning for Music Audio Tagging at Scale by Jordi Pons, Oriol Neto, Matthew Prokop, Eric Strumit, Andrew Eatman, and Xavier Silva.
Is there any of the authors here, or they are just partying? No. Still?
You're not a student.
Yeah. Okay, congratulations. Yeah, there is a small present by our sponsor, Isotope, linked to this award. Okay, thank you very much. So next we will go to the outstanding contribution to ISMIR, and this is, I guess, decided by all board members based on also on the contribution to the society, and of course, yeah, I would like to say so, but we know that we would like to acknowledge the huge amount of work of Emmanuel Benetos for this year's conference program. And he's not here, but just a big applause that he takes it. You know.
Can someone from Queen Mary take it and give it to Emmanuel? So Emmanuel, if you're looking at the stream of the conference, thanks a lot. And we will have it on Monday, I guess. So now we move to your vote, actually. So that's presented. Oh. Okay, it's difficult to do that. So that based on the vote that were just closed at 10:30. Everybody was able to compete for both the oral and the poster presentation. Maybe it's twice the same presentation that got the two. So based on your vote, I'm very pleased to welcome Philippe Essling team with the best oral presentation of ISMIR. Congratulations, Philippe. So this is the Steinberg Award. So now we move to the Best Poster Presentation Award of ISMIR. Let me first clean a bit. No, it's okay. I just take my time so that's, you know. Okay, so this is the Best Poster Presentation Award. It is the Native Instrument Award. So it goes to Matthias Dorfer, Florian Eckel, and Gerhard Widmer for learning to listen, read, and follow. So congratulations again. It seems that you did a really great job this year. Okay, so we know, congratulations to all other, of course, it's just congratulations for having a paper accepted to ISMIR, which is not easy.
This is they are the PDF.
Which one? Okay.
Okay, so we will start the society meeting of ISMIR, and we would like to not register to Adobe. Okay. So we would like to update a bit about these different points, the society update. Our treasurer will speak about our financial status. Also, we will explain a little bit our work on digital fungering and the initiatives we are now trying to promote within the community. And then we will give some information about upcoming conferences. And we created this slide, though, so that people can ask questions, and you can also ask it in the traditional way later on. So, but first, before starting, we would like to give a big thank you to organizers of this year, ISMIR, so please a big applause to all of them. Okay, so yeah. So I think the local committee is busy, but they will come later too, and then we can give another approach to them. So after that, I would like to update a bit on the society, and some people were asking who is the ISMIR Society. So the ISMIR Society is all of you. So as you may know, the people that attend the conference directly gets into the society as a member, and there's even people that could not attend or cannot attend, and they can pay their society fees also remotely. So there is a private group for active members, which is this mailing list that you see on the screen. But it's primarily for record keeping and also administrative announcements such as the voting. So this year we don't have a voting, but next year we may have some voting procedure for the next board. So you can contact us if you should be there, but you are not on the mailing list. So then who is behind the ISMIR Society? So this is an elected board. And this is the people that you see here. Maybe I will give first give the microphone so that anyone can introduce. So I'm Emilia Gomez from Barcelona, from EPF, and I'm now the president since I think last year.
Eric Humphrey, I'm the acting secretary.
Bob Sturm, acting treasurer.
Meinhard Müller, I'm your president-elect.
Doug Turnbull, member at large.
Blair Conashiro, member at large.
Iris Yupingren, student member.
Geoffroy Peters, members at large.
Thank you very much. So this is mostly the people that are behind. So we during the year, we try to work with to make the conference happen. So we work closely with conference organizers. We are indeed conference organizers, some of the board members. So we try to work on the coordination of the different conferences to make the scientific program also coherent, to make also give support to organizers in more the local staff. And we meet every month online to discuss about different things. We also archive and maintain ISMIR publications, website, and data, and we will talk about that a little bit later. We also want to support the fact that our community is diverse, so it's diverse in disciplines, it's diverse also in geographical location of researchers, and also in balance between industry and academy, so we try to promote that, and also we try to support some activities that are going on, but also people from our community, like you, are also involved, so we try to promote that. So we are a legal Canadian organization, and this is the membership is $10 per year, and it's renewed annually. So you can find the legal documents in our website if anyone is interested. Now I will pass the word to Maynard, that will talk a little bit about some work we are doing and together with Doug about ISMIR citation best practices.
So there has been the question or issue on how to cite, for example, things like late-breaking demo abstracts or MIREX abstracts, or maybe tutorials or papers from satellite events. And having talked to many people, so we agree that these things, they are not part of the ISMIR proceedings. They are not reviewed, they are not part, but they should be citable somehow. And we are currently working on guidelines, let's say, on how to cite these things consistently. And we will make these guidelines available in the next few weeks on the website.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go now to the financial status, so maybe our treasurer.
Hello, I'm Bob Sturm. This is my first year serving as the treasurer. Thank you for electing me. I know a lot of you don't trust me with your algorithms, but trust me with your money. Thank you very much for that. I would like to thank Xiao for making the transition very smooth as well. So the previous balance reported last year was a very good amount. The society remains in good financial standing. The activity over the past year includes 48 membership fees paid to PayPal, but a very nice surplus from a successful ISMIR 2017. And I would like to recognize Yi Wang for the fantastic job he did last year. Let's give a round of applause, please. So the current balance allows us some buffer in order to promote various practices. We are running a nice surplus, and a huge thanks to the successful financial management from the previous conference. ISMIR is a nonprofit organization with no other revenue, and so this is what allows the society to fund students, WIMIR grants, and other initiatives. So how are we going to use this surplus? We're going to use it wisely over the next several years. We have a four-part plan. We're going to continue making ISMIR accessible, so students, WIMIR, and non-affiliated researchers, helping support their attendance to ISMIR in the future. Support for high-quality scientific papers at ISMIR, and this includes open access fees and copy editing. We're going to have dedicate some funds to commemorate ISMIR's 20th anniversary for next year, and you'll hear more about that later. And to help with the organization of the conferences, including paying soft conf, buying ISBNs, and cover costs to reduce the financial risks to local organizers of the conference. If you want to see the details of how we're going to use this over the next 5 years, you can look at the slides later, but I don't want to bore you with going into the numbers.
Is this, which machine is this running on? This thing? Oh, great, thanks. Hi, Eric again. So as, excuse me, end of conference week, boys. So yeah, one of the things that we are responsible for and been trying to help kind of get a little bit more robust in the last few years is things around our digital footprint. So I just want to quickly go through some of those different aspects. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm not going to go into this too much. We're a growing organization. If you can't make an ISMIR, definitely renew your membership. You can do it online. It's super easy. And it helps us continue to sponsor students and support them to attend conferences. Something of note, as you may be aware, the conference review tool that we've been using for the last several years is called SoftConf. We're actually on a rather old version of it. Some changes were made specifically to support kind of like the meta reviewer process that we use. And we're contemplating whether or not to upgrade or look into other options. This is simply a gentle ask that if this is something that you care strongly about and would like to help, please reach out. But we'll be looking into this a little bit going forward. There is now a very increasingly active ISMIR organization on GitHub. So we've been moving the previous conference websites to GitHub to version control them. There's also some conference archival tools on the organization there. I'll talk about Zenodo in a second. We've also built out a little bit of a Python API to more easily interact with Zenodo. So if you want a programmatic interface to upload data sets, or we've taken care of proceedings, but other things with that, that's also available. Paper templates, all these other things. If there's something general for the ISMIR community, so not project specific, but general, consider adding it there or reaching out to me. Yeah, great. Zenodo. If you've talked to me this week, you've probably heard me blab about this a little bit. Zenodo is a service provided by it's funded by OpenAir and some other grants in Europe. It's a service run by CERN. CERN, as you may be aware, collects petabytes of data. They provide Zenodo as a free service for open research data sets and these other kind of things because our gigabyte data sets are kind of a drop in the bucket compared to the data that they do deal with. At least for a level of redundancy, we've backed up all of our past proceedings on Zenodo, so now they all have DOIs. Still in the process of trying to figure out how to possibly credential or allow access to other folks to go in and help fix metadata. But surprise, surprise, that metadata is also version controlled in GitHub now. So if any of the citations are wrong, you can submit a pull request and we can get that cleaned up. So yeah, that's all there now. It seems like the indexing has been a little bit slow, but we'll see how that goes. And the last thing, some folks have expressed a little concern or reservation about how Google Scholar indexes Zenodo proceedings. I've already reached out to them. I think we have a fix in place, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. But keep an eye out on the mailing list for updates regarding that. So that's what it looks like. It's great. You can see other kinds of citation counts in there. It has a nice PDF preview. If in the future you have companion materials, such as this poster you present or your slides, these could also live in each of these records. It also provides really, really nice metadata around BibTeX citations and things that Google Scholar doesn't always get so right. Much like DBLP, which is actually what sourced a lot of that information. So that has also been a huge resource for the community. On the website front, we've been paying HostGator to do our website hosting, which is fine, but it's a small little VM. The nice thing is that because we archive all the past conference sites as static websites, those are all being migrated to GitHub pages, which will serve those for us, and it's much snappier, and we don't have to worry about our HostGator VM getting hacked or any of these other kind of things. It also allows us to version control those websites and fix things as link rot inevitably happens. But it also allows everyone here to submit pull requests on those websites to help crowdsource this effort, because it really allows for automatic redeployment immediately to the web. We're looking into moving the main site to Jekyll. If you're familiar with Jekyll, I have a screenshot of what this looks like. Jekyll, like Pelican, which is used for the website this year, is a static website generator. It allows you to build all of your websites in Markdown. So if you've written a README as a plain text file, that's about what web development looks like in this kind of thing. The nice thing about Jekyll is that it's integrated with GitHub, so adding resources and all these other things will just be more streamlined. Right now there's a little bit of a handshaking process, I would call it, between moving web source onto the website and deploying. Yes, if you have opinions, please reach out. These kinds of things certainly evoke them. So if you haven't seen it, the text on the left produces the website on the right. It decouples the styling and CSS from the content, which is really the piece that matters. And the nice thing is that now through GitHub, you can submit pull requests by editing the files directly in the web browser, so you don't need to clone or use Git or any of these things to actually submit changes to the website. You can do it all in the web browser, or will. This is all aspirational. No need to go on there, and that's all for me. Thanks.
I'm Blair Conachero. I'm just going to talk briefly about some of the ongoing initiatives of ISMIR. So first, we have a conference code of conduct. This was incorporated into the conference organization formally for the first time in 2018, and as attendees, you all agreed to adhere to the code of conduct. So moving forward, this will be part of the conference organization. Second, Women in MIR has a number of ongoing initiatives. These were discussed in detail in the WIMIR session already, so I'll just summarize that we're now in, I believe, the third year of WIMIR travel grants. We're going into the fourth round of the WIMIR mentoring program, and a new initiative this year is the WIMIR workshop, which will take place tomorrow. So if you're interested in learning more about these initiatives, you can visit the WIMIR blog on WordPress, and you can also follow WIMIR on Twitter. Right, so I'll pass this on to Iris.
So hello, I'm Iris Yupingren. I'm a first-year student member at the ISMIR board. Thank you for everyone's support. And also last year, Andy Saraf, who was the student member, I basically took past year's framework and made some variations, modifications, such as we're covering a larger amount of the support because the expenses in Paris, of course. And also, we had 2 rounds this year supporting 11 students out of 40 in total. And some brief stats. So institution-based, we have 10, 40% from Asia, Europe, and US. And we also have 20% female supported by the student grants. And all the student grants are provided by both the local organizers and the ISMIR Society. So thank you, everyone, for the support.
Another initiative we have been promoting is the new recently launched journal. I'm not sure if Simon Dixon is around here, and maybe he would like to say a few words about it.
Thanks, Amelia. Yeah, so we have the first issue of the ISMIR journal out now on the website. So it's an open access journal for this community, focused on exactly the same topics as the ISMIR conference. It's a journal, so we expect more substantial contributions than a conference paper would be, but not too substantial. We have a word limit of 8,000 words, so please respect that when you submit papers. Otherwise, we shall be hacking, telling you to cut it down. Anya and Amelia and I are the editors-in-chief, and we're running the journal. We have an editorial board of very qualified and excellent editors who are working with us, and of course, many of you have already reviewed papers. We'd like to encourage you to submit your papers. The idea is that it's first it's open access, so just like the ISMIR proceedings. It should be fast turnaround. We apologise that the first year wasn't very fast turnaround because we were waiting to get a kind of a series of accepted articles together to release the first issue. But now we would hope that if your paper is accepted without needing any changes, it should only take a couple of months, really, from submission to publication. But what usually happens, of course, is that reviewers will ask for some changes, and so there'll be a back and forth process. But we would hope that the reviewing process should only take a couple of months for the first iteration, and subsequent iterations should be quicker than that. So it's a journal where you should be able to get your work published very quickly. That's certainly what we're aiming for. We apologise if there are delays, as there tend to be. So please have a look at the website. Oh, we haven't got the website there. It's ismir.net, is that right? Oh, transactions, sorry. Transactions, there it is. It's up there. I can't remember it. My web browser remembers these things for me. So please submit your articles. We're looking forward to making this a very big thing, and it will have a huge impact factor when you all submit your wonderful work and you all start citing the wonderful work which is already in the journal. So please do that.
Thank you very much, Simon. Maybe just to remind, if I didn't mention before, but we will, the board will have to support some papers based on scientific quality and based also on the reviewers' ratings. So we had a best paper, a best student paper, but there were many other, not many, but a set of very, very well-rated papers. So it was really difficult to get best because there were several ones. So we will invite those nominated papers to select standard versions of the paper to ISMIR, and the ISMIR board will support with the fees for the publication fees. And then we would like to finish with what's next. Now you are all aware we will have we want to have this community like visiting different geographical locations, making it's also more inclusive and including researchers from other parts of the world. So we will have later presentation of the next ISMIR, where we will still be in Europe, so it will be in depth. So Cynthia Lee will provide a presentation later. And then I would like to ask, where would you like to go in 2020? So any wish? So yes, we will go to Montreal. So I would like to thank Audrey Laplante. Yeah. So I would like to thank Audrey Laplante and Ishiro Fujinaga for a bit and for also their contribution to the society. And we are maybe Audrey would like to. I don't know if you would like to say a few words. No. They are a little bit scared, but I mean, I'm sure it will be.
So the conferences should be held with the satellite events from October 10th to October 17th. And it's extremely good time to be in Montreal because of the colorful trees and the not so cold weather. And for American people, it's like the more European and French city in America. For European people, it's a real American city with a French touch and good food. And for all other, it's the best combination of America and Europe. So please come, we'll be very happy to have you.
So thank you very much for the proposal, the bid. So, and we are now looking for volunteers to contribute to our community and organize next editions. Most detailed, like 2021, we would like to do it outside Europe, and then 2022 or beyond. So if anyone is interested, please contact any board member, and we can help you and we can support. So I think that's all. I don't know if I didn't look at the slide, but if there is any question that people would like to make or suggest. Okay, so there's some questions like, is the board made of wood? Oh, no, this is another one. Yeah, there is a question about the policy for archive papers. So maybe, Maynard or Doug, would you like to comment on that?
So I was the program chair for the last 2 years, and increasingly we've had a problem with people, reviewers, saying, I recognize the paper, which violates the double-blind policy because authors are posting papers on Archive, which is an open source journal, or open source sort of repository for papers that are not peer-reviewed. This is becoming an increasing issue. Other communities have struggled with this as well. So we're actively working on a policy. We had a really good unconference session on Wednesday or Tuesday, where we had a lot of good ideas. So I think the board will be working on making a recommendation, which we'll share with the community in the coming weeks, along with some of our best practices for citing non-conference papers like LBDs and satellite events and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Then there is a question if there is any effort to reduce the environmental footprint of the ISMIR conference. There was some discussions about that, so I think Iris was raising this issue, but we were really busy, so we didn't have the chance. So any help or contribution towards this direction will be very welcome because we are not very much people. And one idea also, I think, of a streaming was good also to make ISMIR more accessible to people that maybe cannot make it and cannot travel. But yeah, this is something we are aware and concerned, but we really didn't have the resources to address yet.
If I could just add to that a little bit, I would encourage anyone who is driven or interested in different other kinds of initiatives. Like these things aren't limited to the board. We can help facilitate these. But if there's something that you're passionate about, definitely reach out and we can put together a group in the community. And that's kind of how we started initially anyway. So these kinds of things are definitely on the radar. It's just our board band limited. So definitely reach out. We can help facilitate some of these.
And then there is a question if there is an ISSN for the proceedings. I don't know if someone can answer that. No, now we have an ISBN, right? ISSN? I don't know. Okay, we will look into that. We don't know how to answer that question. Yeah. Is there any other question that or suggestions that any of you would like to do? Yes? Okay, maybe about the slides. Can you comment and then about the conference?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that's kind of been like a growing problem that I think we now have a solution for is our increasing data footprint. So as we continue to collect proceedings, like I think all of our proceedings in aggregate are in excess of 1 gigabyte now, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in terms of like it being an ongoing cost, if you start adding slides, and that's with our, as some of you have stepped on, our 4 megabyte paper limit, if you had a paper kind of kicked back by the system. With things like Zenodo and GitHub and other kinds of third-party platforms that are doing more to kind of offer these things to open source initiatives like this community, we now have a good answer to actually start sponging some of those things. So I think that's something we'll work closely with 2019 on. I will say being on the program committee co-chair-ish thing has been enlightening from an archival perspective. I definitely recommend it to anyone. So yeah, I think we're working towards that.
Yes, about the PDF of the posters, where we are aiming at doing that. So some comments about ISMIR 2018 Part 2, because this will be the end of the part where you meet. Then actually all the conference is already online on YouTube, thanks to the work of Michel, Slim, and all of the local committee. So the conference is on the ISMIR 2018 YouTube channel, so you can already start looking at all presentation keynote. And we also, the next step will be to cut all the session into small files so that you have a video for each of the presentation, and we intend to put link to PDF, but then we first need to ask the authorization of the author to put it online. That's for the PDF. Then the second part concerning the registration price, you have to know that we didn't expect that you will come so numerous at ISMIR. You are 450. So when we sketch up ISMIR 2018, we were aiming to have a conference for 3 to 350 people, and that will be inside Telecom Paris Tech. This will have been cheapest. But because you were so numerous, we had to rent this place, which is really expensive, and that explains part of the reason. So the price is actually due because we have to find another place. So. And to help students, actually, we increased the number of student grants compared to the previous year, and we also, everything which was inside Telecom Paris Tech, the tutorials were very cheap, actually. The tutorial day was very cheap.
Yeah, maybe I would like to add on this respect that we are really trying not to increase the registration fee. So this is something we look after a lot in the board when talking to the people that are organizing. We also understand that at the beginning when someone is organizing and don't know how many people, then it's difficult to have a risk on the registration. So as we are having some surplus, then we are trying to address that. So can maybe use this funding to just help for the local organizers so that then we can decrease in general, and we can also support more people coming. So yes, this is something we can now afford. Maybe before not, but at the moment we have this plan also to, as it was mentioned by Bob, to do that. Any other question? Yes.
It's slightly related to what Tom was asking about the price of the cost of registration, which is, I'm not sure if this has been considered in previous issues, but to have a development index-based price point, in other words, depending on the country of origin of the applicant, slide the scale so that it enables people from countries which are not from the first world, for example. So is that been considered, or is that might be some consideration incorporated in the future? Because I know I have seen this in other conferences, so it's not.
Okay, so speaking as board member, actually, that's something difficult to put in place as the organizer. What the board is doing, there is the student grant and the ISMIR grant, actually not only for women. That's ISMIR is about all minorities, so that includes what you mentioned. So people coming from poor country, let's say, will be favored in terms of obtaining grant. And the goal of the board is again to increase the number of grants for the following years.
Yeah, there is a question related to satellite events, if we could support the registration and organization of satellite events. I mean, regarding this, we have been discussing within the board, and of course, the ISMIR is growing, so there are many satellite events coming up, but our policy has been to focus more on the scientific program for the moment, so to have a high-quality scientific programs, and we cannot expect from local organizers then to support more about those satellite events that what they can honestly do. So this is something that we should also be very aware that we cannot become, we don't have maybe the resources in such a community to do more than we can. So this is something also that this year is the first time we had to close registration also. And this is also something we should maybe address in the future. This is maybe a challenge we have to consider for the next editions.
One thing I might add to that is, and anyone correct me if I'm maybe overstepping here a little bit, but what the board really tries to do is provide continuity from year on year, and we try to empower the organizers to put forward the conference that they want to organize and really leave it up to the organizers to run the show. So we're here to support and facilitate and lend past experience and make sure there's an archival plan in place, but after that, it's organizing a conference is such a huge undertaking that we don't want to add additional burdens to the organizing process. So to the extent that the organizers, present, future, are prepared to do that, I think we try to leave it to them to really make that call.
I'm checking if there is another question. I'm not checking my email, but if anyone has another question, yeah, Juan? No. No, we are seeing an increase of the number of people that want to attend, but not to, to organize. So this is what I mean, that if we have more demand of people, but we don't have more manpower or people power to do that, then it will be difficult for us to help with anything more than what we can. And also from, as it was mentioned, already organizing ISMIR is a lot of work. So we should be very grateful, and also we should try to not to ask for additional effort, because otherwise we won't have anyone interested in organizing ISMIR. Any other suggestion or yes? Yes. I mean, we extended the student grant support for non-affiliated researchers and people that maybe have no funding to come to the conference, and maybe consider also some countries where it's more expensive to travel. So then we considered that already last year.
And also, Cynthia called out plans for that.
Yeah, and Cynthia, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that for next year. Any other question or comment? Okay, so as it was mentioned, we welcome any initiative, any help, and we would be happy to support, so contact any of us if you are interested in contributing. Thanks a lot for your attention. Okay, so this is the closing now, or Paris?
Okay. So we will soon close ISMIR. We will all be very sad. First, the organizer committee. So I would like, just before we close ISMIR, to ask Fabien and Jimena to give a short talk about the meetup with industry, because maybe it was not clear, maybe it is not clear for you, but the meetup for industry is not for the industry, it's for you. It's part of ISMIR. It's not in this building. This is why we do the closing session in this building. But it is part of ISMIR. It has been designed for you as a replacement to the industry panel to have much more interaction. It will be a whole afternoon. I let Fabien Jimena give a short talk.
Well, you said everything. Like, yeah, you just said it. I mean, this is, I have it written here, but maybe you saw it. I don't know. No. Yeah, definitely. So that's very much, it's not something just for the industry. It's really something for the MIR community. I mean, for the whole MIR community, for you, hopefully. So we tried to organize this as, well, something really as like a networking event, and also as a way for you to sort of discover the complexity and all the what happens in the music industry. So we have people coming from not only the distributors, like we are actually, but also from the music creation world, even the design of musical instruments, companies coming from rights management. So we tried to cover as much as we could of the whole spectrum of the music industry to give maybe a better understanding to everybody of what the music industry really is about. I know before going to the industry I had no clue at all of what really the music industry meant, and after joining the industry I started to understand that there's more to what I actually knew. So hopefully that can be useful to everybody. So that's why we're going to have talks every half an hour or something like this. And also time, of course, for every one of you to go and see different, and talk to all those people in different startups, bigger companies. Right. Very important information, I guess, is to wear your badge there. Also, it's very simple to go there. It's just a short metro ride away. You just take the RER and then change the line 6, that's right, to metro stop Chevaleret. Anyway, it's all in the online. It's all on the booklet that everybody read very carefully. So I'm not worried. It's just very simple to go there. Don't forget your badges. What am I forgetting?
Just one thing, with respect to the program, as you see, there are all speakers that work in the industry, but we take a special care about selecting subjects that are interesting for researchers, or what is going to be the new directions in the industry that should be interesting for research, or how to be like to do research in a company. So this is really thinking like for people in research to, as Fabien said, discover what to do research in the industry, or which topics are going to be interesting in the few years.
Yeah, not necessarily to pull everybody out from the academia to the industry, rather, explain a bit more what the industry looks like, so that people are like, no, I don't want this, I'll stay in the academia. That's fine. Just, come and we'll hope it'll be fun. All right.
Okay, and there will be the local committee that will help you going there. So it's very easy to go there. It's basically on the line number 6 that you took yesterday in one stance to go to the Eiffel Tower. You go in the opposite direction to go to Station F. And actually, Station F is also a very interesting place because they used to say that they are the largest startup incubator in the world. And I think it's true. It's a very impressive place. So I recommend you to really to go there or just to take a look. So that's it. I think, Gael, Slim, we will close ISMIR. Don't you think so? Oh.
So how do we do that? I think how we do this is a good question. We probably want to start with a couple of thank you.
Yes.
Yes, we're so grateful to all those people who helped us organize this amazing conference. It's been an incredible experience. It's also been a lot of work, as you might have mentioned. So good luck, Cynthia. Though actually, I guess you've started working on that, because having an ISMIR conference like this work requires you to start working almost 2 years before. So good luck for Delft. we really have to emphasize the work of our local committee. Please come on stage. Please,
welcome.
huge.
And give them a really, really large applause.
We shouldn't forget about the men in black who are up there, who made all this technically perfect. Please, Arnaud and Michel. And obviously, as you might have realized, we had an amazing technical program, and as it was highlighted previously, this would have been completely, would have been impossible to reach that level without the amazing work of the program chairs. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, Eric, Emilia, and Xiao. This was really, in terms of quality, I think, great. Thank you, we're so grateful. You've done such an amazing work. We need also to emphasize the work of Blair. I guess you realize we have an amazing list of sponsors. Thank you so much, Blair. That was so helpful. That allowed us to really improve the quality of things like the food, the coffee, and offer a number of grants. Actually, I'm not sure about the statistics, but Geoffroy, can you comment on that? I think there was a
very large amount of grants that were supported by sponsorship. So many thanks to the sponsor of this conference that you cannot organize such a conference without the sponsors. So thanks a lot to Blair, and thanks a lot also to all the sponsors that help doing this conference. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We need to take the time to do this, right? You agree with me. So we also had very good tutorials. I think you'd agree with me. The tutorial session was great, and that's thanks to Maynard here and Hélène. Hélène wasn't able to attend, unfortunately, but thank you so much for the quality of the tutorials, and thanks to the tutorial presenters. I've heard very positive feedbacks on the tutorials. Thank you very much.
So we just finished this morning with a late-breaking demo session, which was also closed because there were so many people trying to contribute, thanks to the great work of Rachel and Juan. And they even succeed to let everybody, even the one which were on the waiting list, presenting their work. So that was a kind of unexpected last-minute job. They did it very well. So a round of applause for them, please.
Interactive machine.
Yes, so it's my turn to have the microphone. So then we all talk. So yes, we are also very happy to have. We did not talk about the unconference, right? Why do you want me to talk first interactive machine learning?
Because we are still at the late breaking. Go ahead, no problem.
Yes, but it's unconference first. Yeah, so we had a wonderful event, which was unconference. It was different than previous year. It was organized at Telecom Paritech during the evening. And I know that it was a little bit short of food, but I hope you still appreciated it. And yeah, and this thanks for the organization by the unconference chair, Alice, Cohen and Adria, and Cynthia Lim for the unconference organization. And we had also another thing that we plan is to have specific demos and around a theme that we plan in advance. This also made the organization a little bit more difficult because we had to synchronize a number of posters, a number of demos, and so on. And the number of demos is not very easy to predict also. But still at the end, we had a very nice interactive machine learning for music demo and session. And this was organized jointly by Rebecca Fibrink, Wendy McKay, and Frédéric Bevilacqua.
Then we would like to thank a lot the two chairs of this year ISMIR event, Audrey Laplante. So Audrey, good luck for Montreal, and Eva Zangerle. Maybe it will be back to Austria one day. So thanks a lot for this really nice session and all the nice events. So thanks a lot. So there are 3 persons that hasn't done yet their duties, so that's the 3 chairs of the meetup with industry that actually you know very well from the community, and they will welcome you this afternoon at Station F. And they really work very hard over the 6 months to create this really new stuff at ISMIR. It's the meetup with industry. So give a round of applause to Jimena, Fabien, and Arcia.
And you probably didn't realize, or maybe you did realize that, but we decided to use a company to help us with the logistics, dealing with the registration, and it was such a good decision. The company's name is Dakini. You might have met with Christelle and Leo the first day, and Ludivine was backstage dealing with all the last-minute issues and preparing the registration site and preparing all your badges and the USB memory sticks and all that. We're very grateful to them. Definitely, it was a very good decision to rely on professional people like that. So, thanks to them. Before we close this conference, we'd like to take a minute to maybe revisit some of the best moments. That's okay, Arnaud?
And finally, thanks a lot to you because you're doing the conference, you're doing the content. So thanks a lot to you. You're doing a great papers, great program, great poster. So thanks a lot to you. Hashtag best conference ISMIR. Okay, and you can, of course, follow, share your picture on Instagram, hashtag ISMIR 2018, Twitter, and all that, so that we can pursue the conference later.
Some people made amazing pictures of the Tour Eiffel yesterday night, so please post that. We're relying on you. That's all, folks. I guess we'll now hand the mic to Cynthia.
So, ISMIR 2018 has ended. ISMIR 2019 is now the next thing. And I'm very happy to present it to you. And before doing that, also referring to discussions we had in the last few days, I thought it might be good to also start giving a bit of historical context. That was something we saw generally in tutorials, in keynotes, like what was the context behind something happening now? Now, what is this context behind me now being a general co-chair of this conference? Well, actually, paraphrasing Rebecca also, I was one of these kids that never thought about studying computer science. Actually, also here, I am coming from a family where most of the people are in medical disciplines. So very long, I thought I would be some kind of doctor, in the other sense. And then at age 13, 14, I started getting extremely interested in piano. And that happened, and I wanted to be a musician. And coming from a family with an Asian background that appreciates having a good job, that was not exactly what my family had expected. So we had some fights, we had some discussions, we were seeking of what to do, and I said, I want to be a musician, I want to be a pianist. And then they said, yeah, but look at your grades, you're so good at all these other courses, don't just do that. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be a musician and something else then, maybe, if that works. And first I was still looking at medicine, but I just didn't like it enough. And in total desperation, one day I went to the TU Delft to an open day to look at math. I went looking at math, it was reasonable, but on the way out there was a demo in the hallway of computer science, where they showed an application that was meant for having elderly people to help them with dealing with computers. And then I thought, hey, that's interesting. I really never thought of computers. I cannot program. I have no clue about them, but apparently you can do things with this that are relevant to society. And also practically spoken, computer science doesn't need a lot of attendance. You can do a lot individually, so I could maybe combine it with a conservatoire. And that's what I did. Searching for what to do, and ultimately in 2004 deciding to embark on a double degree in the conservatoire in The Hague as a pianist and at the TU Delft as a computer scientist. And that actually worked out quite well. My interest in user-friendly interfaces burned down within 3 months, because then I learned how difficult it was, and I thought, oh, that's maybe not what I want. But then the year after, we had signal processing. And I actually liked that, because being interested in music, with signal processing, I could kind of describe that music that I liked. So I got intrigued by that. And then in 2007, something happened. I was a third-year bachelor student. There was a news article coming on the news sites, the national news sites. And some person, he was called Rainer Tübke, was doing his PhD. He was defending it, and to commemorate that, they also had a symposium organized by, among others, Rainer, Remco, Veldkamp, and Frans Wiering. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that search engines for music existed, so I was super excited. And I wrote, Frans Wiering, dear Mr. Wiering, I'm a bachelor student, I have no clue what this is all about, but I really like this, can I join? And he wrote me back, of course. So, I think it was the 20th of February 2007, I went there, and some of you actually were at that symposium. And I was this bachelor student in the corner who was just being very amazed. And I saw this and I thought, okay, I want to be here, some way or the other. And my master thesis then was about covered song retrieval and got me my first paper and my first conference. Now that conference happened to be in Kobe in Japan, and my group happened to not do music. I was the only person, others did multimedia or video. So my supervisor, Ellen Hanjanlich, said, well, you go. You go and you figure something out. Okay, so I went. There I was. I was very young. I was 22 years old at that moment. Walking up to a hotel like this. It was more than 20 floors high, I think. Being extremely intimidated. On my own, in this conference I didn't know, looking around, being at the tutorials, seeing George Sanitakis. I saw so much work of him, but I never saw the person. And many more people who turned into people suddenly, that used to be all these authors I read and I was a fan of. And I was intimidated, but again, actually it was Frans who took very good care of me, together with the Utrecht people, with Bas and Peter. They adopted me, and when I said, I really don't know anyone, they said, okay, you come with me. And Frans was very proactive, I still recall, in dragging me along and introducing me at the reception and other events to other people. And of course, as soon as you finally give your presentation, more people notice you, more people start to talk. So this was my first interaction with this community. And I loved it. I loved it because of the content, but also of the diversity of content. I never imagined that it would be possible, and it happened out here, that in the poster session I was speaking about historical performance practice with someone doing early music. I literally turned around where I was, and I started discussing a signal processing algorithm. And I could do it all just from this one spot in one place with people who apparently were a bit more like me. So I wanted to stay. I wanted to go into academia, but as said, my group did not do music. It was not a big music group. And I could move to a group that would do that, but that would mean I would have to stop my music studies, because geographically I was bound. So I did want to stay in Delft. But Frans then said, well, while you are looking for a project, why don't you become a student volunteer in Utrecht? Because the next year the conference was going to be in Utrecht. Okay, so I did, and it was very useful. It gave me a good excuse to speak to more senior people, because I had to point the directions to them. And also there, that was actually a good excuse to run into Doug Eck. Just a few months before this conference happened, I got a grant to be able to conduct my PhD at Google, not at Google, sponsored by Google. But Doug then helped me to actually also land an internship out there, and another one, and another one. So thanks to that encounter as a student volunteer, I got this connection. I met more people. The year after, Meinert Müller invited me to Dachstuhl. For those who don't know, it's a castle in Germany where week-long seminars are being held. Dachstuhl doesn't only have breakout rooms, it also has a wine cellar, and it has a music room. Important information. The music room has a grand piano also. There was this night that I went from the wine cellar to the music room, and I opened the door, and I saw 6 trumpet players. And I thought it had to do with the wine cellar, which it partially did, but there were actually 6 people in this community playing trumpet, jazz trumpet. And this is a very bad picture that my mobile phone at that time made. But among them were Geoffra, Gaël, who ever since tried to get me to play jazz with them. It took 7 years, but yesterday it happened. And then, yeah. And then I finally had a PhD project, but I still didn't have any other people around me doing music. So I was also encouraged by my group, look around, make connections, try to collaborate. So I actually even started writing project proposals. One of them accidentally worked out already very early in 2012. And then I went to Luxembourg, and who was there? Rainer Zipke. He had become a European project officer. And he was our project officer. Actually, the guy who got me in. And also Emilia was there, because in UPF, as the co-coordinator also, she was going to do this project with us. It was a reason why in 2013 I was not at ISMIR. By then I had a music degree, and there was suddenly this way to show that I was a pianist and a scientist, because we needed to demo our project. So this happened while Curitiba was going on. But later when I came back, in 2014 was the first time I was no longer alone at ISMIR as an attendee. First of all, we had a group, but I also had my own PhD students coming in at that time, which was also really amazing. The project was very visible. You saw it maybe in Malaga in 2015. And then in 2016, there happened to be this research assistant in my university, Andrew, who is a psychologist who wanted to do something with data science, who wanted to find a PhD, and like me years before, was not funded and had issues with getting his ideas across. But we happened to find an excuse to co-author a paper, and I thought, let's just drag him to New York, because he's from there. So I almost literally drug him there. And it was really amazing, because for the first time at ISMIR, people did not react surprised by who he was. So far, when I was speaking to my university saying, I have this psychologist, he wants to do a PhD, they said, yeah, but he's not a computer scientist. When he went to a psychology department and said, I want to do a PhD, they said, yeah, but you're a psychologist, you're not a data scientist, right? Everyone was surprised about that. This was the first place where you didn't care. And ever since, I dragged him along again the year after. He literally went jamming around. He made a lot of friends. With him as a vegetarian, me as a non-vegetarian, we ended up at different banquet tables. He ended up next to someone from Spotify. It resulted in an ISMIR paper this year. Whatever can happen in a social event, right? And this year, finally, we've been more successful. I've grown a bit more senior, more people joined us, and there is actually a team Delft at ISMIR, which is a great thing to have. And, well, looking beyond, the next year will now be 2019. So first of all, before going on, I want to thank you as a community. I want to thank you for first of all showing that scientific discourse can take place across disciplines, that you're not afraid of that you actually like that. I'd like to thank some of you, we spoke about role models, that you showed me that you can actually be a professional, very well-established musician and a researcher all in one person. You can't imagine how many times people told me in the last 10 years that that was just unrealistic and I should give up any of these. Thank you for deeply caring about your subject matter. You care more about your data than people working on the MNIST, for example, I think. Thank you for fostering minority voices in the community, which of course ISMIR has been really spearheading a lot, and I see that the community really appreciates this. And thank you for caring about newcomers, the newcomer I once was, the newcomer that Andrew was, now I have Jayoon who is also new. And in all cases I see that people who come in are very much incorporated immediately. So with all that, I'm very happy to host 2019. And as you know, it's the 20th anniversary of ISMIR, and around anniversaries things happen, so it's also the 15th anniversary of MyRix and the 10th anniversary of the ISMIR board. So just to go back to ISMIR board, this is what you looked like 10 years ago almost. Anyway, for me, as said, it's 10 years since my first conference. Incidentally, it's also the year of my tenure decision in Delft. So that means that we either celebrate or we celebrate, and we break down the house. At least it was my intention, but we were a bit late with information about dates and an online presence, and it was for this reason. I got the bid already, actually 2 years ago, but computer science has actually become popular, and this was our first year this year. We had 885 students entering our program, and they only fit in one room, which is the room I would need for the conference. So there were debates about this, I had some struggles, but finally university allowed me to officially host it 3 weeks ago. They settled it with me. So I'm very happy to now announce ISMIR 2019, November 4 to 8, 2019, which is when our students do their exams, in Delft, in the Netherlands. Thank you. And I know that from Geoffroy's presentation last year, it's appropriate to show a nice video about your country and teach a few words in the language. So welcome to the Netherlands.
Life in the Netherlands is pretty damn near perfect. It's got the happiest kids in the world, the best healthcare system in Europe, and one of the best pensions. It ranks highly in terms of freedom, happiness, human development, quality of life, and as an added bonus, sexual satisfaction. Yep, those living in the lowlands have little to complain about.
Maybe there's this one thing.
En in de rubriek Slecht nieuws zijn we toe aan het weerbericht.
Everybody who's been to the Netherlands for any amount of time knows weather around here can be pretty shitty. With an average of 100 minutes of precipitation per day, this country is just very, very wet. Whether in summer, winter, spring, or fall. Not surprisingly, the Dutch have more words for bad weather than Eskimos have words. Period. On a given day with so-called neerslag, there could be motregen, a few druppels or spatjes, a boutje, a wolkbroek, a stortbuil, stromende or streamende regen, slaagregen, or noodweer. It could be drallerig, wisselvallig, miserin, zeiking, gietien, hosing, cleansing, raining pijpenstelen, coming with bakken out of the air, or a true zonvloed.
Morgen wordt een prachtige zonnige dag. Gevat.
Perhaps because of the predictably unpredictable nature of their climate, the go-to topic for daily conversation is the weather. Survival tip. At every opportunity, complain about the weather. Make sure your observation accounts for the meteorological complexity of the day. Like this.
Wat een weer.
Nailed it. With the constantly changing climate, apps like Bouwenradar and Bouwenalarm show you exactly where, when, and how much rain you can expect. On an average day, it could look like this, 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 or this.
You might ask yourself, how am I ever going to get through this cruel life of rained-out parades, ruined barbecues, drowned-out Hail Holland bucked finals, condensed glasses, smeared mascara, and the living hell that is unresponsive touch screens? Start with getting yourself some proper attire. You'll never look as cool as this sweet old Oma, but you can always give it a try by buying the super sexy Sens umbrella that looks like it was designed by NASA. But you'll probably just end up with one of these. Mostly though, it's a psychological battle. Like the Dutch, do whatever you can to get through the misery. Stick together, help each other out, face it, tolerate it, ignore it, embrace it, make the best of it. In the end, we're all in this together.
Yes. So it's going to be November. So let these two things be the first two Dutch words you learn. We have buienradar and we have buienalarm. And those two are two apps that will warn you when it will rain locally. Very useful. However, it's also good because it means we have to be inside and stick close together, and that's what we want in the conference, right? Actually, the Netherlands is very easily reachable. As you know, everyone knows Amsterdam. Amsterdam is 45 minutes by train in a direct connection to Delft. Some people can fly to Rotterdam too. It's about half an hour public transport, 15 minutes by car. So it's easily reachable. Many connections are going there. Looking also at scale, if this is Paris, at the same scale, this is the whole city of Delft. But effectively, you'll mostly be in this area, which if I would overlay it on the map of Paris is just 1/4, basically. Not that much. You can almost walk everything. And zooming in, this is the city center and also the technical university where we will have our venue. As you see on the scale down there, we have a 200-meter bound out there, so this is all within 1.5 miles at the most. And our hotels are also affordable. If it does not rain and you go outside, these are some sights of Delft you can see. But the thing you will see most is this, which is the venue of our conference, the Aula Congress Center of TU Delft. And more specifically, we will be here in our auditorium, as said, the largest room of our building. It's all ours, and that's very nice. This is where we will have lunch and also part of the posters, which is just next to this. And just as an impression of some of our breakout rooms, we have that, and we can also expand with a few more lecture rooms. In terms of capacity of the rooms that I already secured so far, this is it. So if we get more than 450 people, we can put them actually in our room. However, for social events, of course, it's good to know. But we can scale up. We do have some room there. Now, I had a tagline with my logo, which is across the bridge. And to commemorate this anniversary, I really want, as my thing to this conference, to foster and celebrate diversity. And diversity can be gender, and we've been looking at that with ISMIR already, of course, but also at the other elements of diversity, increasingly so. And that's also where I really now want to push. There is also diversity in age, in cultural background, disciplinary background, and also the nature of your profession even. And just to give you some ideas of what we're discussing right now, speaking disciplines, ISMIR used to come a bit more from the information sciences world. They hardly are there anymore. But now, 20 years later, we might want to actually connect to them a bit more. There are musicologists, there are psychologists, cognitive scientists, and of course there is a big rooting in technical and mathematical disciplines, but there is more, let's say, applied machine learning going on. And it's interesting to go see if we can get that all in, if we can give it all a place at the conference, or if there are other ways to connect to these. First of all, our program committee is revising the call for papers. Satellite events might be another way to do this. Now, regarding this, we discussed this in the board meeting just now. We will see what the appropriate format is. What I saw with Paris is that by actually advocating everything, the conference appeared to be extremely long, which also might scare people off. So it might be better maybe to have a clear marketing of ISMIR, the main conference, and then just advocate the satellites and accommodate them. That's at least what I'm thinking of now, but I'm happy to talk. We want a more diverse PC, so also in terms of the disciplines. So if people with cognitive science interests should be able to publish at ISMIR, we should make sure there are qualified reviewers, qualified PC members for that. So we will have a dedicated action on that in our scientific program committee. And one other thing that's now being discussed, and I hope to hear more about it soon, Emilia proposes, is going to discuss with the ISMIR board if there can be a special issue for the anniversary, where we also can reflect a bit on the 20 years of ISMIR and maybe give that some exposure in our conference. Regarding nature of profession, we increasingly see industry, of course, out here, beyond academia. But also, regarding the nature of the industry, there are smaller, bigger companies. There's also a very vibrant creative industry scene in the Netherlands that might not do music, but things closely related, media, things like that. I want to see how to make sure that the scientific program stays a scientific program while also fostering them. And I'm very, very curious to see what happens this afternoon with Meet Up with Industry. I think initiatives like this are what we need, not just our booth, but also ways to connect companies to students that they want to hire. And many people here might actually rather wish for academic careers, at least many of us who are here and established do that. So we want to see if we can also broaden this audience somehow co-located with ISMIR. I really want to encourage the next generation. And speaking about also a question we had just now, there should be a low entrance threshold for those who are not naturally funded or supported. Newcomers should not feel lost. And also, as I discussed at ISMIR may be a background neutral STEM application domain that can get a new generation in. How does it translate? We are speaking of affordable student rates. In general, replying to what Tilman said, my ambition is to have a budget where at 350 people, we can generally have lower registration fees than this year for every category. I'm not sure if that will work, but the first priority will be on the student rates. And another thing we've been discussing with the board is to lower the student rate and keep it flat, so not have a late registration for that. Also regarding accepted papers, to not insist on a full registration if the first author is a student. So these are a few of these initiatives where we try doing that. In terms of newcomers, we are speaking about newcomer actions, things like the ISMIR networking bingo that we see, much more of that, to just get people who are a bit outside more in, also scientifically, by the way. And then finally, as for the school project, well, I spoke about it already 2 days ago. I already get people coming towards me with ideas, and that's amazing. So let's hold that and let's do it. Yesterday, when I spoke to one of the industrial people out here, there was an idea emerging about potential things for sponsors. Us as universities, for us it's often very hard. We are underfunded. We can typically only sponsor those students that have a paper accepted or that are somehow part of a large project we already secured. But at the current funding rates that we have, it's not that trivial to get these types of projects. And this actually stalls science. It means that you cannot have as many people, you don't have as much momentum. You might see very bright minds that you cannot give a place. And here I think that actually industry can help much more actively because you do want a new generation to come out of this. So one thing that when I spoke to a colleague from Korea then in a company was discussing with this person is, well, the type of support we offer with our grants would typically be registration and accommodation because also that's something we can locally manage. It is much harder for me to pay a flight ticket from Korea to the Netherlands. It's much harder to justify, it's much harder to get going. But if you have a company there that is interested in people from certain labs in the neighborhood, why not take a student along? Why not help sponsoring that? So we are thinking of having programs like that. If you're from industry, please hold this thought and think of this. And I think this can also help increasing this participation. A bit more Dutch. This is a saying, doe maar gewoon, dan doe je al gek genoeg. Just behave normally and you're crazy enough as you are. As you know, the Dutch have the tendency to be known as being cheap or being a bit, well, pragmatic. And I want to really proudly make use of that. So re-emphasizing a bit what I also said before regarding the student rate, Participation in our case goes way before extravaganza. I cannot promise you a cruise on the boat. If it will be on the boat will not be going through the canals of Delft because you won't fit. But anyway, I think the most important thing first is to secure these student rates and then see what else we can do. And I trust that we as a community can party already also without the ballroom. So I think it will all work out fine, but just that you know, if it looks a bit more sober, it is for this reason. And I think that you would be okay with that. Thank you. Also, I'm talking a lot, but it's not just my party, it's our party. And some of you have been much longer around than me. So we do want to get your ideas. The board's already soliciting ideas, but please, we open to dot storming. If you were in the unconference, you know what it is. Where you can put some thoughts about elements you might want to see in ISMIR next year. And based on this, and also our program committee questions that are now going around, we talked to a lot of people. There will be a community questionnaire end of October also pushed to the ISMIR list, to get your ideas also in a more structured way, so we all have a say in what happens next year. Also, we are thinking of crowdsourcing an ISMIR for Dummies manual. I spoke to some newcomers during this conference, and some of them were a little confused about, for example, common methodology we use, common vocabulary we use. What on earth is a CNN, right? So things like this, there might be things we find super trivial and others find not. And here is an open pad. It's not a Google Doc, because this should be accessible from everywhere, hopefully, where you can add your thoughts about what you might want to share with a newcomer, or what a newcomer, if you're new, didn't get out here, or found funny or strange. Please contribute, and then hopefully next year we can put this as a service to the people also who are new. And then now, the organization. I'll announce the people, and I'll ask them to stand up and remain standing, and we do the applause in the end for everyone. So these are the general chairs. So it's me and Emilia. Emilia, could you stand up? Yes, thank you. Yes, okay, we can applaud already. I have an amazing scientific program committee. Arthur, Geoffrey, Julian, and Anja, could you also stand up, please? For the tutorials, we will have Eva Tsangela and Masataka Goto. Are you still there? Eva's here, Masataka's there. They're right there. For publicity, I have Amelie Anglad and Tejaswini Kelkar. Are you still in the room? Amelie and Tejaswini, there you are. For sponsorships, we have Steve Chua. He's not here, but Stephen Sullivan is still here, I think. Yes, you are. There you go. Newcomer initiatives, also because of the student membership, Iris Yuping Ren and Sandy Manolios, who will be a newcomer because she will be a new PhD for me starting next week. But please, Iris. Satellite events, Jae-hoon Kim, that's him. As for this role, the thing is that many people now come to me with satellite ideas, and I would like for someone who is not me to also keep track and help advising. So go to him if you have any questions on that. Fringe programming, this is a new thing. The thing is that, I'm not sure if you heard about the Edinburgh Fringe. That's a festival where theater makers had actually a normal festival, and then there was a side programming part where people who didn't get selected just did their thing, and it actually became very big and strong. So for all the activities that are not main scientific program, I would like a separate coordinator being Andrew. Which includes late-breaking demos or the new format we will find for this, as well as the unconference. Jae-young is not here, but Peter is, I believe. Yes, he is there. Music is an essential part, of course, so I have Christoph Weiss and Martin Gasser, and I would also like to talk to Uri regarding the jam part of this. We are going to see if we can really integrate music throughout this conference. Is any of you still here? Yes, Christoph. At TU Delft, I have someone who very diligently is now putting together the website. That's Bart Vastenhouw, and TU Delft Event Solutions will support me with finance and local. And then finally, I'm very happy to have three very strong advisors, Blair, Meinert, and Frans. Could you also please stand up? I've been talking a lot to you these last few days and months, and I will keep doing so, and thank you very much for all your support here. So, our basic website, it's also still a very sober thing because the details are very new, is now up at ismir2019.ab.tu Delft.nl, will be linked and referred soon from ismir.net. Mail addresses we're also still putting in place. For now, bug me. And the ISMIR 2019 Twitter is also up and has secretly already been tweeting a little bit. Now I will formally announce it. Please follow, retweet, be active, participate. And see you next year in November in Delft. Thank you.
Shortly, so this is the end of ISMIR 2018 here at the Cité Internationale Universitaire. We're now waiting for you at Station F. Actually, if you are a student and want to be in touch with the industry, this is exactly the goal of the whole meetup of this afternoon, is for you, researcher, student, to get higher, to discuss with people from the industry to see the way they work. So we're waiting for you. You can, there is lunch, so it's lunch back today, so you can stay here to eat or go to the garden or take your bag and go to eat at Station F. This is really a wonderful place. I really recommend to go there. We really did that for you, researcher, to meet the industry. So see you in 1 hour at Station F then.
you.